Alright, hello folks. We're going to have another philosophy video today, although I won't be drawing quadrants. And I want to start by doing a little demonstration, something to keep in mind as we go forward. So I've got a light here, and I'm going to shine it through an object that I'm keeping off camera. So there's shining through 1, and shining through 2, and shining through 3. So we saw some like pink, yellow, blue there. So just keep that in mind as we go forward on this little adventure together. And what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about the concept of the truth, as in there's one thing that is true. It is very natural, I think, for us to think in terms of the truth. In a lot of ways, the world around us does operate in a very, binary, true or false sort of way. A thing is either true or it isn't true. And, the observable universe exists. We observe it. There are facts. E equals mc squared. 1 plus 1 equals 2. Water is wet. The sky is blue. Facts. There's some things that are definitely facts that a lot of folks try to dispute. Natural selection causes speciation. Humans are changing the global climate. Those are also facts. They're complicated facts with a lot of details that we're still understanding, but we know the basics. We know some things. So, facts, they're out there. The truth, right? But there's also times when you really can't just say, this is definitely true, and that is definitely not true. Quite so simply. Spiritual things in particular, of course, I think have that, should I say problem? I don't know if it's a problem. Have that characteristic. Where it's hard to be certain exactly what is true. If, my younger self was very certain that Jesus Christ was my Savior. I said that a lot. I sang songs about it. I went out and was a missionary to teach people about it, which didn't go well. Nobody needs to teach anybody about the existence of Jesus in this day and age. There are, people living in the furthest corner of the world trying to hide in caves who have heard of Jesus. But, I was very sure that was true. Now I'm not so sure. Now I don't know. And of course, that's a weird thing to say, right, though, as a Hellenic polytheist, right? I worship Ares and Thanatos and Dionysus, and I say I'm not sure if Jesus is my savior. Well, no, I'm not sure. Because the thing is, when it comes to those sorts of truths, sometimes things that seem very contradictory can actually not contradict. A blue square is definitely not a orange circle. Both those things can't, wrong pencil. Both those things can't possibly be true. Or maybe they can both be true. What if two things that seem completely contradictory, when we look at them in a flat, two-dimensional, simplistic way, what if we zoom back and try to be a little more three-dimensional here? What if contradictory things are not actually contradictory? And that's the thing with a lot of truths. Earlier I talked about 1 plus 1 equals 2. I mean, that's the most basic truth you can get, right? So here's a question. Does 1 plus 0.9 repeating equal 2? Weird kind of question. But it's a real question in mathematics. And it might. Because the thing about 0.9 repeating, right? You have 0.9, and then it's, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, on out to infinity. If 0.9 repeats to infinity, the way, say, 2/3 is 0.6 repeating to infinity, there is no distant 0.00 something 1 missing from it, right? There's nothing to make it less than 1. So 0.9 repeating to infinity might actually be 1, in which case 0.9 repeating to infinity plus 1 equals 2, even though the only thing that plus 1 should equal 2 is another 1. Weird, huh? Math is really strange when you actually look at, like, theoretical mathematics. It's wonderful stuff. And that's the thing. The most basic thing in the world is more complicated than people think. So the tendency to look at things in flat, two-dimensional terms, let's try to be a little more three-dimensional. And speaking of three-dimensional objects, when I shone the light at the beginning, I didn't shine a light through 3 different objects that were 3 different colors. I shone a light through one single object that is, in fact, a different color depending on how you look at it. And so when people say that you can have your own truths, that there are truths that are different depending on how you look at it, that's not just mumbo jumbo. That's physical reality. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you later.